Good morning, fellow fundraising friends. Thank you so much for joining me today for our next edition of Coffee with a Consultant. I am excited to jump into today's topic. We're going to talk about 4 easy fixes that could help you better improve your chances of securing a grant proposal or a grant request for your nonprofit organization. One of the things that I talk to new nonprofits about a lot, or nonprofits that are just getting started in grant writing, is kind of their credit worthiness. So that's something we're going to dive into today. I hope everybody has your coffee or your tea or your morning beverage of choice. I've got my plain old cup of Joe this morning, but I've got one of my favorite new cups. It says chaos coordinator on it, and that is just kind of a perfect summary of my role here lately. Besides managing and directing Just Right Grants, which is a virtual grant writing company for nonprofits across the country, I am a busy mom and I volunteer at our church. And this time of year is just kind of chaos. So it's all about coordinating all of those different pieces of the puzzle of our social life lately, with 3 boys and baseball and doing all kinds of extracurricular stuff. It's a beautiful time of year, but it's also a really, really busy time of year. So I would love to hear from you in the chat, where you're joining us from today. I love to see where everybody is, and what kind of chaos are you coordinating this week? This is a busy time of year for events for nonprofit organizations. It's a busy time of year for grant applications. This is kind of the prime time for grant submissions as we're getting into the end of the fiscal year. So let me know the chaos that you're coordinating, and I'm happy to commiserate with you over our shared brews. So let's dive in. So I mentioned a few minutes ago credit worthiness, and that's kind of, that's a for-profit term, or, not really something we talk about a lot from a nonprofit perspective. But if you've ever bought a house or taken out any sort of credit, you understand the importance of making sure that whoever is evaluating you knows that you're real, knows that you are trustworthy. And so that's something that comes into play with nonprofit grant writing as well. The funders need to know that your organization has stability, that you are going to be around if they make that grant request, or they fund that grant request for you. And grants are so competitive. You want to make sure that your organization stands out amongst that competition. They need to know that if they invest in you, that you're going to manage those funds wisely, and you're going to use them for the philanthropic purpose that you say that you're going to. That you have everything lined up and you're ready to go, right? So same thing if you've ever filled out an application for credit. You've got to be able to say, here's my income, here's our expenses. We're able to manage this well. So we want to make sure that your nonprofit is essentially doing the same thing to grant funders. There's 4 elements that can really make your organization right off the bat look as though you may not be credit worthy or even real yet. So that can be a little scary, that a grant funder may think, oh, this organization isn't real, right? When your nonprofit is very real. So one of the first things that I talk to new nonprofits about is the importance of having a branded email address. So I see a lot of nonprofit executives who have an @Gmail or @Yahoo email address. Yahoo, got beverages on my mind apparently. A Yahoo email address. So when you do that, it tells the world that you aren't as established as other organizations might be, right? So you need to make sure that you show that you've got all your ducks in a row. And having a branded email address is a really quick and inexpensive fix. And so that's a great segue into my next point about not having a website. That's the number 2 easy fix to help your nonprofit be better prepared for grant writing and be more successful as a newer organization. So, not having a website in the 21st century basically tells the world that you don't exist. Think about your own habits online. So, let's say you're going to go out to eat. You want to find a new restaurant and you Google that restaurant and nothing comes up. Are you going to take a chance and go to that restaurant and just, see? Or are you going to continue searching and find one that has an online presence? More than likely, you're going to go to that one that has the online presence, right? Well, the same is true for nonprofit donors. And this is kind of across the board, not kind of, this is definitely across the board. This is grant makers, individual donors, major donors, corporate donors. They, when you think about how you sort of vet an organization that you're going to hire or that you're going to spend money with, you're going to go out online and look at their online presence, and you're going to read reviews, and you're going to want to see pictures. The same is true for nonprofit donors. They want to see that you exist and read about your organization and learn more about it. And not having a website, the number one reason that I hear for not having a website is we can't afford it. There are so many options right now available for websites and domains that are in the $30 a month range. And I'm going to be really blunt here. If you can't afford $30 a month for your nonprofit to have a website yet, then you are not grant ready. Funders need to know that you're able to sustain some of those administrative costs. And you're not, and if you're not, then grants are maybe a year or 2 or 3 out from now. There's other revenue streams that you can pursue, but grant writing, you're just not there yet. But it's critically important that you're able to sustain that. The number 2 reason I hear for not having a website is we don't have time to manage it. So those platforms that allow you to easily use templates and set up your website that are affordable, they have a lot of built-in tools to help save you time. And a website is as much or as little as you want it to be. You can have one page that shares your mission, shares the people involved in your organization, and shares some photos, or you can have dozens of pages based on the time that you have available to manage it. And not just you. Consider, even if you're still all volunteer, consider having some board members help you draft some of that content, or some volunteers or an intern may be able to do it. We're getting into the summer months, maybe easy to find an intern that could take that project on right now. So having a website is important, but it also helps you solve the first problem, which is having a branded email address. So as soon as you get that domain name, that typically comes with some branded email addresses that'll help you solve both of those problems at the same time. So the third easy fix that can help you win more grant requests is your GuideStar and Charity Navigator profile. I often meet new nonprofit organizations that have empty profiles. So if you are a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization in the United States, you automatically have a profile on GuideStar and Charity Navigator. They are both nonprofit assessment databases where donors can go online and look at some of the public stuff about the organization. So your board of directors, your CEO, your mission, some financial data that's included in your 990 form. Just kind of prettied up version of your 990. But that's where it stops if you don't go to those websites and complete those profiles. There's some nonprofits that have 5-star ratings on there. So that's kind of the pinnacle that you want on both of those platforms, because it shows that you've entered data beyond your 990, you're engaged in the portal, and you're sharing more than what's absolutely bare minimum required of you, right? So again, there's time invested in that, but you can build it over time. You don't have to do it all at once. It may take some time and some resources to get to a 5-star rating, but you can easily go on there and look at some other 5-star rated organizations, see what they're including, and just slowly start building that profile. Savvy donors are going to go out there because you and I know, as donors ourselves that support other nonprofit organizations, that there can be a lot of organizations out there that you may think, I'm not quite sure that I want to write them a check. So if they're on the fence about that, then they can go on to both of those platforms and get a little bit more information about your organization before necessarily reaching out to you. So they may use it as a screening tool, and donors can search on both of those platforms to say, I'm interested in supporting organizations that are involved in animal welfare in Texas. So they can search by that and have your organization come up, and that could be the very first engagement that they have with your nonprofit. So you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward on those. And again, it's completely free. You've got a profile out there anyway, whether you know it or not. You just need to go out there and claim it, and then start adding that information to it as you can. The last easy fix that helps your nonprofit organization appear more creditworthy, like we talked about here at the beginning, is the social media presence. And this ties into the website and the branded email too. Again, thinking about your own online habits, you're going to want to go out there and read reviews and see photographs and see real people, and not necessarily stock photography, but real people that are engaged in your organization, and see your nonprofit making a difference in the world. Donors want to do that too. And so having a social media presence allows you to engage with so many different types of partners. So you could engage with your board through your social media platforms. You can engage with volunteers, potential donors, existing donors, just random strangers who are invested in what you're doing, who may eventually turn into board members or volunteers or donors. You can engage with existing or previous clients. You can share your mission with people that may need your services in the future. So it's really a comprehensive tool of engagement, and it's free, other than your time, of course, which has value. So again, it's something that you don't necessarily have to take on all by yourself, but just share the importance of that with your board and your volunteers, and develop a plan around it. My recommendation is 2 posts a week, just to keep those engagement numbers up. And there's lots of platforms available that help you build that out. So for example, if you follow us on social media at Just Right Grants, we try to post daily. Now, that's not something that I set aside time every day to do, unless there's something relevant that I need to post or share about grant writing or fundraising in general. But there are platforms such as Hootsuite, which is, the top notch for online scheduling for social media. Buffer is one that I use as well. It's a little less expensive, and it does the same thing. You load your social media platforms into that system, and then you fill out what you want to post, and it posts it for you at the timing that you want it to post. So in those cases, you can build things out for days or weeks or months or whatever amount of time you have available, just to have that regular engagement. But do stay on top of engaging with people as far as comments go, engaging with other nonprofit pages or for-profit pages, so that you can continue to show up in the streams for those social media platforms, and make sure to respond to people through messages, because that's how, it's called social media for a reason. It's not just pushing content out there, but be prepared to answer questions from folks, so that you can stay really relevant and stay on top of the social aspect of those things, and not kind of get lost in the crowd of people that are just pushing content out there. So those are the 4 things that I recommend nonprofits look at in order to build up that credit worthiness, to prove to a funder that you are a real organization. You've invested the time in setting that up. You care about engaging your various audiences, and you're ready to start receiving grants and building onto your program and your mission. I am happy to answer any questions that you have if you want to use that chat feature. Thank you, Sarah, so much for letting me know you're in Odessa, Texas. That's wonderful. I am just outside of Atlanta. Well, I say just outside, but everybody that's just outside of Atlanta says just outside of Atlanta. But I'm hoping that you are having as beautiful weather there in Texas as we are here in Georgia right now. It's actually spring here, which is rare for us. But thank you all so much for joining me. My contact information is listed right here at melanie@justrightgrants.com. If you have specific questions that you would like me to answer on one of our Coffee with a Consultant live streams, let me know. You can send it to me at the email address there, or we've got a website. On our website, we've got a question feature that you can submit those questions ahead of the live events, but always feel free to put it in the chats. And we have tons of resources available for nonprofit professionals that may be able to manage grant writing on their own, but may just need a little help. When I first started doing grant writing, I'd Google things like, oh, I need a grant calendar template, and there was no such thing. So after 6 years of doing this and developing my own versions of it, I wanted to make those available for other grant writers and other fundraising professionals as well, so you didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So we've got grant calendars templates out there. We've got some sample grant narrative templates that you can use that help you, if you're staring at that blank screen and you don't really know where to start, here's some writing prompts that may help you. And then lots of other resources out there that just, I couldn't ever find on my own. And I thought, well, I need to develop something, and then I need to be that resource for other people as well. So if you get out there and have any questions about it, or if you think of something else that might be helpful, we're probably using it. So let me know and we can add that to our online store. But thank you all so much. I hope you've enjoyed our Coffee with a Consultant today. And again, let me know the chaos you're managing through April right now and the crazy busy fundraising month that it is. And I wish you the best of luck with everything. And I look forward to seeing you again at our next Coffee with a Consultant live stream. Have a great day.